Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. In this video, I've come to a very, very sunny and very warm and muggy southern Louisiana to meet with Buddy Lee and just walk around his place. I've been here many, many times. Always a great time to come over here to his little research station where he's always dabbling in new things. Most people know Buddy for inventing encore azaleas, and then of course now there's gardenias and Dystilium and what else in the collection? Native azaleas and as well in the collection. But not many people know that one of Buddy's big passions is native restoration, and we're going to see some of that in this video. That's the purpose of this video, actually, is when I come down here and talk to Buddy, we're talking native plants. Right. You tell me about your...
Well, I just always had a passion for native plants, collecting and trying to select better clones and things like that.
Right, nice. So we're going to walk around with Buddy real quick and show you some of the things that he's working on with the natives.
One of the native plants I've always had an interest in is Lionia Lucida. And here's one that I've been working on and selected. It's a native plant, it's a swamp plant, it's called a fetter bush. And it kind of gets its name fetter bush because it fetters people's feet when they walking in the swamp, like wild animals would run to escape dogs and things like that. But anyway, this form is a little bit more compact. It has white to pink flowers in the spring. These are seed pods set right here. Even though it's a swamp plant, it's very adaptable to gardens. And this section here, this is one clone that I've cloned out, and it's fairly consistent, more of a mounding, maybe about a 3-foot tall plant. In nature, they get a little taller, and they get, 4 to 5 feet wide. Another plant that I've always liked working with is blueberries. And most of you may have heard of Rosa's blush. Now that's a neat little plant, and I did work with it and some of the other, Darylized species and other natives around here. And this is a selection, kind of a blue cast blueberry. As it gets older, more mature, these were recently cut, but it's a heavy berry setter, but they're small berries, and the wildlife really like this plant. I like the color. It's a steel blue color. I've did a lot of work with species, with the rabbit eye varieties and just a lot of different blueberries. Just love them. I love to eat them too. I guess another native plant that I've always been passionate about is deciduous azaleas. And there's like 16 species in North America, and I've collected all them and did some breeding work with the X-berries and Ostranum. But really, I really like the Ostranum, Rhododendron Ostranum deciduous azalea. Of course, they're deciduous, and when they set bloom buds and when they bloom in the spring, I mean, there's no plant that really rivals that for color and for fragrance. Just a wonderful plant, native azaleas.
I actually carried one of these Calicarpa seedlings home last time I was here. Tell me about it.
Well, this is a white selection, a white berry selection, and you can tell, the flowers are white. Usually when the flowers are pure white like that, the berries are going to be white. But this is a form I've been working on for numerous years. I like the berry set. I like the way it grows. It's a deciduous plant, but just a neat plant. There's a lot of very different. You got the regular purple berried ones, and there's all kind. But I'm kind of partial to the white berried one at this time.
Yeah, the birds went crazy for mine. As soon as I got it home, they stripped it immediately.
Right, and in flower arrangements, as these things mature and the berries mature, it seemed like to me it'd be, these stems loaded down with white berries, just be an ideal thing for a flower arrangement. This locotoy axillaris is really a tough plant. This variety actually came out of Central Florida, and I find that these are all seedlings, but they're descendants from Central Florida. Just some tough plants. They tend to have less leaf spot on them. They're not resistant to leaf spot. They'll get it, but they just they maintain. They just seem to be able to grow, not get swamped over by the leaf spot. But you can tell there's some little seed on them, white flowers in the spring. You can get a lot of red new growth color. And in the fall of the year, some of them maintain a really bright red winter color, and I've selected some of those out. But just a unique plant. It's also called dog hobble, which is an old name for it. This plant here is Cliftonia monophylla, called buckwheat tree, nectar tree, and there's areas in Florida where it's really heavy thickets of it. The honeybees utilizes as as a pollen plant. But this form here, I've always been intrigued by this plant. Some people call it black tie, buckwheat, honey tree. But this, and usually you'll have white flowers, and the white flowers are extremely attractive. You can see them on I-10 as you're going across Mississippi and Florida. You'll see these big these plants blooming. This one in particular is a white form, a pink form, and it's kind of a, and also it's more of a dwarf form. So this is a selection. It hadn't been named yet, but just heavy blooming plant. I just know when they were blooming, when it probably had 1,000 seedlings, and when they went to blooming and I was doing the selection, there was a certain time in the day you couldn't even get out there where there were so many pollinators on this plant. I've never seen a plant that attracted so many pollinators. It's a really great plant. This is a group that I've did a lot of work with, and I really like this selection. It's Cirilla, swamp tie. And this one's just a heavy blooming plant. It's more of a dwarf growing plant, maybe 4 to 6 feet tall over time, which is significantly shorter than, say, just the common native species. But just heavy bloomer, a good pollinator, adaptable to a lot of soils and things like that. But this one here, I just it's not released or anything, but I like calling this one summer snow, because about a month ago, it's one of the earlier blooming ones, and it's just got a short little raceme bloom, but it just persists over a long period of time, and it's got a sweet honey smell to the flower. I really like this one, Cirilla.
So as Buddy and I have talked about many times, this property that he purchased was a plant nursery for about 100 years. A lot of those were Asian plants that escaped.
Yes.
How have you gone about trying to restore this from...
Well, it was a lot of Asian plants like mimosa and, well, there's Bradford pears, just a lot of different plants that have turned out to be invasive type plants. And the seed bank, this number of seed in the ground is probably pretty large. But I wanted to create like some native meadows or return it back to a native area. This was a piney woods type area years ago. So I initially cleared the property and then started to restore it with some native type plants. And initially I just let the natives that were available. Usually when you correct an area, native plants will move in, native flowering plants. But the key to it is, at first I was just bush hogging it, cutting it a couple years, but that really didn't work because a lot of your native plants are adapted to fire in the southeast. Periodically the areas would burn and the species adapted to that. So, so about every second year I did a control burn. I'm a control fire burn certification. It's based on a lot of different criteria about the weather. I also get people that's more that have more experience with burning. I burned as a young person with my father, but now there's a lot of changes. There's a lot of subdivisions. There's interstates that you had to keep the smoke off from. But in this area here, this was burned last year. This was completely blackened out.
Right.
Right.
So what are some of the natives that have popped back up?
Monardia here, a small leaf, mint. Different types of black-eyed Susans, which is a broad spectrum name. There's numerous ones coming up. Right. I have over here this rattlesnake master, they call it.
Right. Yeah, there's one right here in front of you.
Yes, it's right. Yeah. And it's kind of a unique. It kind of has it's yuccifolia, part of the name, but it makes these kind of spiky balls here now.
Right, that's more toward fall when they
and then they'll kind of open, but they persist.
Right.
They kind of persist in the native field all year long.
So one thing that would be different in this kind of space is having burned this off, you're going to have all season long. It's going to be changeable. Like if I came back in a month, it's not going to be that willow leaf mountain mint that the bee's on with your hand on it,
right?
Or it'll be something else.
There'll be asters pushing forward. There will be the
other
rudbeckias, like I'd Susan Augustifolium.
Right.
And it's just kind of a wave of flowers that goes through. It's this area, that area over there, then this across the road. I'd say it's about 2 acres. 2 acres is kind of difficult to maintain. A larger area would be easier with fire.
Right.
But you really need the fire though to take it down. The fire, another way helps. It helps control the invasive species, because a lot of the invasive species hate fire. They didn't evolve in a fire.
Right. Their seeds can't tolerate the heat.
Yeah.
What's amazing to me is it's the native pollinators. A lot of times we're talking about honeybees. Well, honeybees aren't native bees.
But they love this. Bumblebees.
The native bees are what's out here.
Native bees, and I have a lot of this minority, a lot of stuff. The basis of it, or the backbone, is the little blue stem grasses. Right. And it'll mature and come on up. They're
beautiful in the fall and even in the winter.
Yeah, even goldenrod. There's goldenrod here, and asters. I have a little dwarf form of asters to the back. It's been here for a long time. It just kind of spreads. It was here before I started. Given the opportunity, a lot of your native grasses will come back in.
We just have to get out of the way.
Just get out of the way and maintain it. You can't let it grow up in privet, because that just smothers them out. Right. And initially, I was just trying to get the native flowering plants or native grasses, and that was within a 25-mile range. But there's been so many other species introduced that adapted. So, I just said, well, I'm not a purist. I can't even remember the names of all of them. But I love I love native meadows. It's just something. Every season of the native meadow is beautiful to me.
So thank you guys for watching. This is something I wanted to share with you that, we know Buddy Lee is the, introducing little round balls for our suburban landscape, but he's got another passion here, and restoring the native plants in southern Louisiana. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that little bell notification so you're alerted when I upload a video. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you. Yeah,
thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.